Good evening and Happy New Year to you. It's good to see you in 2026. It's Ghana Tonight live on TV3 and on 392.7 FM. I am Kemini Amano. Now, tonight, the DVLA has had a very busy year, but it is the new registration numbers that has led it to court. Tonight, a look back at the year for the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority and an even closer look at that court issue. Also tonight, controversy around UG University of Ghana's new fees as GTEC weighs in warning public universities against unilateral increments in fees. Jenga or Osiadan, the story remains the same, has its roots in Ghana, the global sensational game that has room silence filled with suspense. Those are the big ones tonight. I'm glad to have you here for our second show of the year. Now, you may be watching us here on TV3 or listening to us on 392.7 FM. We're also streaming live on Facebook.com, X.com, 3news.com, and on YouTube. And if you'd like to be a part of the program, remember to use the hashtag Ghana Tonight. Now, that hasn't changed, has it? Next, we'll bring you Ghana Brief.
Social media sensation and popular self-acclaimed prophet Evans Eshan, also known as Ebonowa, has been remanded by the Adenta Circuit Court for 2 weeks. The self-acclaimed prophet was arraigned before the Adenta Circuit Court on the charge of publication of false news with intent to cause fear and panic. It's a game that turned silence into suspense and balance into bravery. Played in living rooms, bars, classrooms, and competitions around the world by millions, but behind the tumbling blocks and bursts of laughter lies a story very few people know. Because long before Jenga became a global sensation, its first blocks were stacked right here in Ghana.
What we do is we collect wood and stack them up till the block collapses. We later started picking wood from sawmills and played it the same way. So whoever caused the block to collapse is the loser and will receive a slap on the back of their hand.
Over 500 healthcare professionals, policymakers and researchers are meeting in Accra for annual Ghanaian Diaspora Nurses Conference. It's aimed at catalyzing partnerships for ethical workforce development and sustainable healthcare reforms.
We've had a lot of our nurses migrate to these high-income countries, and some went there not only to work but to get educated. Some have stayed within the health system and actually reached very high peaks in terms of their professional careers. They have a lot to share. So having them here is an opportune moment for each and every nurse who has registered to be part of this conference.
The National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, NIMOS, has arrested 5 individuals for impersonating members of the NIMOS task force and extorting money from illegal miners in the eastern region. The suspects were picked up on January 2nd, 2026 at about 10:30 a.m. at Chebi, Akwadum, in the Ebuakwa South District in the eastern region. According to NIMAS, the 5 men were moving from one Galamsey site to another, dressed in khaki trousers, military-style pouches and desert boots, while falsely presenting themselves as members of NIMAS task force. The suspects have been identified as Wisdom Miwuneko, Kasimi Nunekweku, Moses Dabiam, Christopher Amako, and Paul Abanu, who was the team's driver. The arrest followed intelligence received by NIMAS about a group of individuals posing as national security operatives and extorting large sums of money from illegal miners in parts of the eastern region. For more than a decade, the road between Inyima and Winchi in the Kintapo South district of the Bono region was not just a road, but a dangerous journey locals described as a fight between life and death. Residents endured years of hardship caused by the deteriorating road, from delayed access to healthcare to the loss of farm produce. Today, that struggle is easing as construction finally begins on the long-awaited project.
This place is a farming community, so we have a lot of crops here in this region, so it will benefit the farmers around this community.
Industry watchers have projected significant relief for petroleum consumers in the country in 2026. This is against a backdrop of some oil marketing companies reducing fuel prices at the pumps ahead of wider industry adjustments as falling global oil prices and a stronger Ghanaian cedi create room for relief for consumers at the start of the new year.
Let's get into that controversy around the University of Ghana's new fees for the 2025-2026 academic year. Now, as the holidays fade fast and make way for the drudgeries of everyday life, students of the University of Ghana will contend with paying at least 25% more in fees. Now, students of the Premier University are displeased by the news. Some say came as a surprise. So here's a quick breakdown of the impact of this 25% on the 2025-26 fee structure. I want to show you that quickly. What you see on your screen is an adaptation of what we have seen on student prospectus for the said academic year. So you can see that for undergraduates, regular students, freshmen, which would be those who will be going in for the, let's see 2026, 2025, 2026 first, and then I'll come back to this because this is from last year. The previous academic year. Now what you see on your screens is that of the 2025-26 academic year, the one to start. Now freshmen, which will be those entering the first year, approved fees for humanities, 2,343. But then we see the third-party addition, 767. And it goes on and on for continuing students at level 200 and 300 as well. Now, the third-party fees include a host of issues, including SRC hostel development, levy, and the likes. But then what the students contend with is this comparison to 2024-2025 academic year. Let's look at that now. And take note of third-party fees, right? For last semester or the previous academic year fees, you see for freshmen is a little above 2,000 cedis. Now remember that in the coming academic year, it's about 2,300. For continuing students, under 2,000. In the new year, it's above 2,000. But a third party has been the bone of contention, and I'll explain if you stay with me, because for last academic year, it was 255 all through. And then we see that in this year, right, it is 767 cedis, bringing the total of approved fees to 3,226 for freshmen. So that's the least that we're good. That's the least for freshmen. And then for continuing students, 200, 300, and 400, 2,369. For level 200 and 300 freshmen, the total fees will come to 3,290 for the 2025-26 academic year humanities. So that's what's created the controversy. Some students say it caught them by surprise. They had no idea this was happening. They also worried about the burden it will create in adjusting their finances to accommodate the about 25% increase. Now, tonight, we can also tell you some action has been taken. The Ghana Tertiary Education Commission issuing a strong warning to public universities, especially the University of Ghana, against increasing academic fees without parliamentary approval. GTEC insists its directive against increments remains in force. And again, just a quick note on that. This is not the first time that GTEC is making such an announcement. But back in November of 2025, they had come out with that statement to freeze fee increment in public universities, which is why we're learning from GTEC that they believe, right, that the directive they gave back in November of 2025 is still in force, for which reason public universities, including the University of Ghana, should continue to adhere to that directive. Now, the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission notes that public tertiary education institutions have over the years reviewed student fees without adhering to proper procedures, causing implementation difficulties. And this statement is the November 3, 2025 statement I was referring to earlier. So to ensure compliance with statutory requirements under the Fees and Charges Act, and in line with this mandate to promote the effective and efficient operation of tertiary education institutions, GTEC reminds all universities that new fees for the 2025-2026 academic year cannot be charged without prior approval from Parliament as mandated by law. Now, I was telling you the very latest for tonight because we have been speaking to GTEC since this matter hit the news media. I can also inform you that indeed what GTEC has said include the fact that unilateral hikes undermine government efforts to ensure equitable access to tertiary education, for which reason GTEC says it will formally write to the University of Ghana to verify the reports and cautions that institutions found in breach could face sanctions. And so for the students, there could be respite in the works as GTEC plans to write to University of Ghana or school authorities regarding the new fees. But we also know that school authorities have been pushing back on this public backlash. Pro-Vice Chancellor, Professor Gordon Awandere, has been quoted as saying, what is being reported as fee increases relates to third-party fees imposed by student leadership. Now, let's stop there, right? Because I showed you the fees as well, and we see the difference, about at least 200 cedi increase in that for freshman level 100, and we're seeing about 300 cedi increase in continuing students level 200, 300, and 400. And so that part of the statements that the Pro-Vice Chancellor has been quoted as saying appears to be false, that it is not true that the third-party fees, which has gone up substantially, is the only reason that the fees have gone up in total by some 25%. But I'll go on with what he's been quoted as saying. He also adds that these fees are approved through their own governance structures. By there, he's referring to the students, because remember I told you third-party fees includes things as SRC housing levy. Perhaps we'll go through that real quick, because I want to tell you the full structure of the third-party fees, where we have things like the SRC Hostel Development Levy of 300 cedis, 75th Anniversary Legacy Project of 100 cedis, SRC Welfare of about 50 cedis, reprographic, what is that? Reprographic fees of 5 cedis, and the best part, Telecel data for fresh freshmen in level 100 and freshman diploma are 312 cedis. I left the university a while ago. I don't know what that is. Reprographic fee and telecell data. I have absolutely no idea what these are. But then you have an idea of what these third-party fees are, which have gone up substantially. Quickly, let's conclude that from Professor Gordon Awandere. Because he says that contrary to what the students have said, that it caught them by surprise, they were communicated to through their governance structures 2 weeks ago about the changes to the fees. So these fees, he says, are meant to support student programs and activities. And if students have issues with these charges, they should take them up with their SRC or GRASAG leadership. I can also tell you that we have tried our darndest to reach out to the SRC, to reach out to GRASAG for their comments on this matter. Unfortunately, we had no luck with that. And that's why we can't bring you their perspective on this matter. But someone we have been talking to is the Executive Director for the Institute for Education Studies, Dr. Peter Pate Anti. He's been commenting on this matter. He spoke earlier on News 360.
First and foremost, we need to understand that a lot is being done to ensure that financing does not become a barrier in access to education. And that is why I think the government and GTEC continues to ensure that increments in fees are not above a certain percentage. But we should also understand that these increments are important to enable the university deliver quality education. And therefore, where the increments are justified, I think that the system should allow it to go. In the instance of third-party charges, I'm reliably informed that these are fees that are agreed on by the leadership of the student body. So there can never be a situation whereby the university would impose fees for students to pay when that fee or those fees are not approved at the student level. There's a lot of deliberation that goes on at their own kind of leadership and consultation system, and then it is brought to the university for the university to approve. In those meetings, what I'm informed is that in such meetings they mount strong justifications for the kind of fees that they want the students to pay. And where the university feels that it is too much, the university goes into negotiation with the student body to ensure that the fees stays within a certain framework or a certain level. So yes, Eugene is right. These third-party fees are imposed by the student body. And from the perspective of the student body, they believe that they have enough support from the student front to be able to push these fees out. We need to first look at what are these charges? What are they meant to do? What is the purpose of imposing these charges? I think that if the university, in the university's estimation, if these are charges that do not seek to address specific needs of the students, they would definitely flag it. But if the students insist on that, then it means that the students feel that these are things that the students, the student leadership thinks that these are the things that the students need. What we need to be sure about is whether these charges, these things that the students have been asked to pay for, were brought before the student representatives, the various hall presidents, the various reps from the various student unions, for them to look at it and agree before the SRC took it to the university system.
Well, you just heard the voice of Dr. Peter Pate Anti, who is the Executive Director for the Institute for Education Studies. Now, this story, we can assure you, is not going away anytime soon. GTEC plans to take action. We'll see also in the coming days how the Education Ministry responds to the student concerns about their new university fees for the current academic year. But let's put the spotlight now on the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority for a plethora of reasons. Let's get into that now. As you very well know, the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority has had a busy 2025, embarking on multiple efforts aimed at transforming operations from new DP plates to working round the clock and expanding services across the country. The authority also announced new chip-embedded vehicle registration number plates. This, it says, is designed to improve road safety and general security on our roads. Now, tonight we know that service, which should have taken effect today, has been suspended due to a lack of implementation legal framework. According to the Chief Executive Officer of the DVLA, Julius Nikwe Kote, although Parliament successfully amended the Road Traffic Act 2004, Act 683, the specific provisions contained in LI 2180 were not passed.
Giving extension to all DP stickers to operate, so we come back with another announcement. The same apply to DV, that is a defective vehicle plate, to also be used. Then, any company or individual who wishes to register can also do so in 2026. Just that you must be mindful of the fact that when the new ones are being rolled out, you'll be compelled to change and pay again. That is it.
Now, even before this new system takes effect, the authority is already facing a lawsuit. Vehicle Enforcement Association of Ghana asking the courts to stop rollout of digital number plate system. The DVLA CEO has been responding to the suit.
Julius Nikwe Kote, CEO of DVLA, I have not cancelled or signed any new contract with regards to the new number plates. These Vermont people came to me that they've been working with the authority and then they want to be part of it. And I said, oh, that's no problem. You guys went into tender with a gentleman who operates a company called Omel. So he's part of you. You went to the same tender with him. If he's won the contract and you want to do it, better go and meet him and then do what? Have a discussion with him. So you're surprised. The one who won the contract is saying that he is willing to welcome the people coming to do the RFID. And those who never won the contract have rather gone to court. And we'll meet them in court.
Julius Kote is CEO of the DVLA. But joining us now is Stephen Atto, Director of Corporate Affairs of the DVLA, because let's have an extensive conversation on the back of this, but also throw the spotlight on the activities of the authority over the 2025 period, right? Stephen, good evening, and thank you so much for your time this evening.
Good evening. Good evening to our viewers.
Great. I almost thought I didn't have you over the telephone. But quickly, let's get into this matter of the lawsuit. Were there not, wide consultation with stakeholders before the attempt to implement it?
Oh, Kemini, there has been a lot of widespread stakeholder engagement. Like the chief executive rightly stated, there was an existing contract in place before he came into office. And so the person who won the contract was expected to deliver a certain number of number plates, secretized plates. And once the contract was in place, chief executive with his team have decided to make amendments to the number plate regime that we had, so that we can have the RFID embedded plate in it. So as a result, we wiped out several other designs. So there was no abolishment of any contract, for which reason a new contract was entered into. It was an existing contract that was in place. So what we did was to make modifications, which did not change the scope of the contract, except to ensure that the license plate as we needed it to be is one that comes with the security that we require, so that we can conform to international standards, again, ensure that we can trace vehicles, traceability, and again, also to ensure that we promote road safety for the people. So if after that, all we needed to do is to engage existing stakeholders on what we are bringing on board, the relevance for bringing that on board, the the safety aspect of it as we are bringing on board. And after that, we went around the country. We went on a stakeholder engagement across the 16 regions of Ghana, and we met with our key stakeholders, the National Road Safety, the Ghana Police Service, the garage owners, even the media, a lot of people we've met and have discussions on. So the angle of a certain contract having been cancelled, I mean, that really is not the case. But again, DVLA being a state institution, we are amenable to all sorts of actions by people if they disagree with us. But like Chief Executive, in fact, in that particular interview, he indicated he got or he made an attempt to bring the two parties, the existing manufacturer and those who seek or seem to have issues with the kind of contract it was to deliver, so that they can come together and see how best they can play a function. But we engaged manufacturers and we needed to make our input on what we need.
I see. On to other matters around this. We know that the rollout should have been today. The CEO has explained that, you know, for lack of implementation, legal framework, it couldn't be effected today. What are your new timelines?
All right. So what we're looking out for is the fact that, you know, we don't determine how Parliament does its work. We have made the proposals, and in fact, for instance, regulation or LI 2180 under regulation 10, there are specifications specifically on what should be on the plate. And that was what we sought to do. Because of the new features we proposed to the manufacturer, we needed to have them also contained in the LI so that we can go ahead and do that. What we've done is to get ready. And as soon as Parliament has gone through the processes and make the LI or give the legal effect to it, DVLA would be ready to roll it out. And we expect that after that, all vehicles that have been registered and are already operating within the system would create the opportunity for them to come for us to change the number plates and have the RFID embedded chip number plates on them so that we can have a new technology to run with as authority.
I see. So how would it work? Would it only impact cars post or vehicles post the implementation of the law, or for those all vehicle owners need to go through the process immediately? Explain to us the dynamics of actually operationalizing this.
So what happens then is this. We cannot say that upon the coming into effect of the law, our spotlight will be only on vehicles that will be registered subsequently. What it is that once we build in a database that allows, or a database that is driven by technology, we need to have existing vehicles equally getting on board. In fact, one of the things critically all our listeners will need to take into consideration, if you're a vehicle owner, for those who have registered their vehicles from 2023, they have registered onto a digital platform. And that digital platform is what we want to enhance. What it means is that for anyone who has registered his vehicle before 2023, they need to do what we call onboarding. That is more or less registering onto a digital platform. And that system allows for an individual to walk away with a title to his vehicle and a smart card that belongs to that individual. So if you haven't done that yet, you need to do that. And then when the new system comes, all that we have to do, the RFID allows for certain information to be uploaded onto the plate, which is linked to the vehicle, and then also linked to a system that DVLA will operate. In fact, what it is or it seeks to do is to ensure that at every time, if there's the need for law enforcement to trace an individual to be able to see that this person has committed a traffic infraction and he must be held liable or accountable for it, that becomes possible for us to do. So all existing vehicles, those that will be registered even from this year and those that have been done the years over, will have an ample time and time space for them so that they can come back to DVLA, and then we re-register them under the new system, and then we emboss a new plate onto the vehicle. So it will be for those who have the digital registration process. It's not like coming to do a re-registration exercise fully and pay for the whole registration process, but it is one that takes you through, and then we give you a new license plate that is modern, that has the RFID chip embedded in.
And how much is this costing the public?
So, two things. So far, for every work that DVLA has done, all the designs you've seen, they were done in-house by DVLA. We haven't engaged anybody we haven't paid anybody and the public hadn't spent any money. Subsequently, when the plates are effective or they are in place, DVLA charges no fees that has not been approved by Parliament. Whatever fees that are available or we propose, we have to lay them before Parliament. We have to go before the Select Committee. We have to defend it. Parliament will make input, and eventually we will arrive at a figure that the plates should go for. And we know our parliamentarians. I mean, these are people who work for a varied, varied constituents with different economic background, and they will agree on what the people of Ghana can afford, and that you can always trust Parliament to do that.
I see. And how much is the digital migration estimated to cost the the DVLA?
I wouldn't be able to put any figure out right now. Like I said, a new technology definitely will come at a cost. But like I said, in order to recover cost, that proposal will be put before Parliament. The Parliament will do it. I mean, we are not there to make profit, but at least every state institution, you are expected not to make a loss, at least to break even, so that you can serve the people of Ghana well. And I'm sure that when the finance people work out the figures, it will be one that will take the best interest of Ghanaians into consideration before that is done.
I see. But just before we go, let's talk about 2025 for the DVLA. It's been busy, but it's also been good for the DVLA. You went 24/7 with your operations at certain centers. Let's talk about some of the good things that have happened over the year.
All right, so what we sought to do was that we think it is important over the years, having seen how middlemen, those called borrow boys, have had to come and interfere with the work of DVL. It was important to bring our services closer to people. I mean, it makes no sense for a person who could pay, let's say, 800 Ghana cedis to acquire a license to travel and pay 400 cedis in that travel, to go and pay for 800 cedis. That is the phenomenon where somebody will feel that, look, if I cannot go, let me engage a middleman. So we've opened 10 new offices across the country over the last 11 or 10 months that the chief executive, the current chief executive, has been in office. And that is to create access. Again, like you said, we brought in an innovation at the port where, usually, or in the past, we used to have DP.
Well, it would appear we lost that connection to Stephen there, but Stephen Atto is Director Corporate Affairs of the DVLA. My understanding is Stephen is back. We'll give him a few seconds to finish that thought process.
Thank you.
Yeah, Stephen, you were making a point.
Yeah, so we took off the plates and we brought in DP stickers. And I can tell you, from April when we piloted those DP stickers, we're making about an average of 2,000 maximum a month. In October last year, we did 15,000 issuance of DP stickers. So we managed to seal some revenue leakages that were hitherto going into private pockets. After that, we opened a Adentan office. Adentan office has been operating 24 hours. We've had a few of your media people who have gone there, your colleagues. They've confirmed clearly that Adentan office works 24 hours. What we sought to do again is to roll out all regional offices. At least for those that can run 24-hour service, they'll run 24-hour service. The others that we see possibly for economic activities or economic purposes, they may run extended service to ensure that people can walk into our offices at any time to have those things done. We also assure that new offices will be open so that we open the space for Ghanaians to be able to have access to our services. After all, they pay for them and we must be available and readily, easily accessible by the people of Ghana. So 2025 has been very fruitful for us, and we were hopeful that 2026, this innovation would have taken effect. But hey, whatever it is, whatever had come along the way, we are a law-abiding institution, and we'll wait for the law to give us the go-ahead, and we can implement everything that we need to.
Thank you so much for your time, Stephen, and we wish the DVLA all the best in its bid to make things better at the Vehicle and Licensing Authority. Stephen Atto is Director of Corporate Affairs of the DVLA. Let's turn attention to other matters, but before we do, I do want you to know that up ahead is that story around Ebonoa, the doomsday prophet, and his time in court. But right now, let's talk about the game, Jenga. It's a game that turns silence into suspense and balance into bravery. You've had it in your living rooms, classrooms, perhaps even seen them at competitions around the world. But behind the tumbling blocks of the game Jenga lies a story very few people know. Long before Jenga became a global sensation, its first blocks were stacked right here in Ghana. There's more in the following report by Judith Brown.
Hey, who's gonna let that thing fall right now?
One wrong move and everything comes crashing down. It's a game played across the globe by over 90 million people.
This is it. She gone. She gone. Let me see what time it is. She gone.
She not gone.
But what if we told you this world-famous game has a story that begins right here in Ghana? This simple wooden game, known globally as Jenga, is more than just fun and suspense. Its roots trace back to a Amanfo in Takoradi, where a British woman growing up in Ghana in the 1970s played a humble block stacking game using locally made wooden blocks. That woman was Leslie Scott, and decades later, that childhood hobby would become one of the most successful games in history. Scott brought the game to the UK, formalized the rules, and introduced it at the 1983 London Toy Fair. And in 2020, Jenga was inducted into the National Toy Hall of Fame, celebrating its significant contribution to play. The name Jenga comes from the Swahili word kujenga, meaning to build. But the spirit of the game, which is community, balance, risk, and resilience, mirrors something deeply African. And so we took a trip to Takoradi, to the very town where it all started. And while many had long forgotten this popular game, some natives explained it was known at the time in their local parlance as Osiadan, which means to build, or Takoradi bricks.
What we do is we collect wood and stack them up till the block collapses. We later started picking wood from sawmills and played it the same way. So whoever caused the block to collapse is the loser and will receive a slap on the back of their hand. The young ones no longer play this game. The world has changed. Technology has changed everything.
Age of technology.
Interestingly, they were completely unaware that Jenga originated from their township.
I can't really remember the game, it's been long.
Jenga is simple. Stack the blocks, remove one at a time, place it on top, and the tower grows taller and taller. The tension rises, and eventually, gravity wins. It requires no language, no batteries, no screen, just steady hands and a little courage. Every move is a moment of suspense, yet, despite its global fame, few people know Ghana's role in the story. And that raises a powerful question. Could Ghana turn Jenga's global popularity into cultural pride, tourism, and economic opportunity? Well, at a time when countries are monetizing culture, storytelling, and experiences, Jenga presents a rare opportunity. A global brand with local roots. From woodworkers to tour guides, designers to event organizers, the blocks are already here. What remains is the vision.
Well, the world may know Jenga as a game of balance, but here in Ghana, it means something more. A chance to reclaim history, build culture, and turn a childhood game into a pillar of sports and tourism. Because sometimes the biggest world stories start with the smallest wooden block. Judith Brown, TV3 News.
Amazing. I'm also learning that for the very first time today. We'll bring in now Abeku Agri, who is Deputy CEO of the Ghana Tourism Authority. Honorable, I appreciate your time this evening. I know you're very familiar with the Takoradi terrain. Did you know Jenga originated from there?
Oh yes, I know about the story how the British lady who lived in Takoradi, Amanfro, with a family, developed the Jenga game. Yes, so I know about the story that it originated from Ghana.
Ever played it before? Can you hear me? I'm asking if you ever played it.
I've tried, but I've always been unsuccessful halfway through, when it's getting more exciting, when I think that I'm going to win. Unfortunately, I break the blocks, along the way. I've tried it. Last time was at Safari Eco Park, and that's not too long ago, about a month, or even I think 3 weeks ago.
But it must. Right. It must carry some pride knowing this globally acclaimed game originated right here from Ghana.
Absolutely. Coming from tourism, the Ghana Tourism Authority, we create stories and experiences, and we're proud that Jenga originated from Ghana. So as an authority, one of the things that we seek to do is to document the story and market it, and then create experiences around it so that we own that heritage. It's a heritage tourism that we don't need to lose it. So creating experiences around it and even integrating or immersing it with other tourism activities like festivals or even hotels will make sure that we encourage operators to put this game in their activities or recreational activities. So if you go to the hotels will encourage them, especially in Takoradi, where the game originated from. Every hotel, every hospitality facility must have this game there. And the experience is the story that comes with it, that this is where this game started from. Now it has become a global game. But Ghana owns the heartbeat, which is where it started from.
I see. So how can we solidify this ownership? Jenga is not even of any Ghanaian language. Is it too late to IP this?
You do the research, you find out that Jenga is an international brand, its own. It's an intellectual property. We cannot own the game as a destination or as a country or an origin, but we can own the story of how the game, started or how it began, and that no one can take it away from us, because truly, authentically, this is where it started from. It started from Takoradi Amanfro. So we can own the story by documenting it. And let me commend TV3 for the extensive research work that you've done, going to Takoradi Amanfro and speaking with those who knew the game in the 70s and growing up with it. That is the authenticity of owning heritage story. We need to own this. We need to document it. We need to tell the story. We need to invite people to come and experience where the game started. That is what we can own. We can own the heritage story. We can document it, and nobody can take it away from us. But owning the sport itself will be difficult since it's an intellectual property. So practically, the Ghana Tourism Authority links such experiences to our heritage. And Takoradi, or the Western region, owns a lot of tourism experiences, including heritage. And this is a game that has gained international acceptance. For us as an authority, we want to bring the narrative behind this game, how it started, and tell the story, activate it through experiences like festival. For instance, the Takoradi Masqueraders Anchor Festival has gained a global acceptance and recognition. We need to also bring the Jenga story up, like how the Anchor Masqueraders Festival experience, has been accepted. But this
I mean, do we see the GTA and its partners extend this preservation to other events, other activities, or things of arts and culture that originated from this country with the potential of going global or having global relevance, or may even have it already?
Yes, absolutely. Like I said, we need to commend the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, Honorable Abla Mamagajifa Gomashi, and the achievement, the milestone of Ghana's cultural intangible heritage like high life music, which has been recognized by UNESCO and listed as a cultural intangible heritage that originates from Ghana. 100 years of high life. That is one great achievement. Two, our Kente. Our Kente has also been recognized and has also been, accepted and inducted into the UNESCO World Heritage Site, that the origin comes from Ghana. There have always been argument and debate. Some say that Kente comes from Cote d'Ivoire. Some even say that it comes from Togo and Benin and so on and so forth. But they were not able to prove with historical, antecedental, anthropological fact to back it. Ghana has it. And so if we have a cultural heritage game like Jenga, which emanated from Ghana, Western region, Takoradi, Amanfrom to be precise, the role that the Ghana Tourism Authority, together with this implementing agency, the Ministry of Tourism, have to do and will do is to take this story to UNESCO and all international relevant bodies that may kind of validate the story authenticity that it's emanated from here. That is what once we are able to achieve that, then we can own the right.
Well, that's all the time we have for this, but thank you so much. Gilbert Abeku Agri is Deputy CEO of the Ghana Tourism Authority. Ebonowa is up ahead. You want to stay with us as we have the very latest on the self-styled prophet coming at you if you stay with us. I'll be right back. Welcome back. It's still Ghana Tonight here on TV3 and on 392.7 FM. I'm Kemeni Amano. Now, what many of you may not know is that Ebo Noah, the self-styled prophet, was in court today, and he will remain behind bars for another 2 weeks after appearing in court on the charge of publication of false news with intent to cause fear and panic. Ebo Noah, known by his government name as Evans Eshan, will also take a court-ordered psychiatric evaluation before his next arraignment on January 15th, 2026. We are also learning more about the Doomsday Prophet, Ebo Noah, who is a private security guard in Accra. And according to prosecution, he admitted to circulating the Doomsday videos on his Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube accounts. We also now know that the life-saving arks do not belong to Ebo Noah, but in reality, they are boats owned by an Elmina fisherman in the central region. In the months leading to Christmas, Ebo Noah posted multiple videos which went viral across his various social media, urging interested parties to get aboard God's ark in order to be saved from Christmas Day floods, much like that which took place in the biblical story of Noah and his ark. Now, he will later denounce his own doomsday prophecy, claiming his prayers had averted a devastating end to the human race. In a twist of events, however, prosecution reveals that Ebo Noah has since admitted his claims were false and acknowledged that there was no impending flood intended to destroy the world. And this is how you have been responding on social media. Let's take a look at that. Samuel Aiken says, it's a good move, but please, other pastors need to be taken through the same treatment to enforce discipline and bring religious sanity in our country. I believe referring to 31st night prophecies. We also have another one from Kojo. His story has reached part 2. Daniel in the prison. Awudu Jalo Nashiru, meaning they would have arrested Jonah. Oh, come on. That's a good one. They would have arrested Jonah for saying the whale swallowed him. Hey, that's from Jalo. Very, very good one. And then there is the psychiatric evaluation should also be carried out on those that believed him and his followers, coming from Samuel Yanka. We've also got a bit more, not siding with what Ebo has done, but come to think of it, the hypocrisy is too much. The number of fake prophecies that have gone unpunished is too much. But it's normal for him to be the scapegoat. Laughing emojis. One wrong move and he get arrested. I guess this will deter other content creators from acting up. What about the prophets? That's a question Rukai is asking. Kojo Akumfu, why wasn't all this done before the 25th of December? And there's a response from Connie Abuaji. They were waiting to see if it will happen. The judges themselves were scared. Well, there's so much to say about that, but maybe not tonight because we are out of time. But thank you so much for your comments. I could have read your comments if you shared them with us with the hashtag Ghana Tonight. Is the only way your comments come up to the top. But I want to tell you about a few things to happen tomorrow and then on Sunday. The first show of the year for Key Points is happening 7 a.m. tomorrow here on TV3. It's not gone on break. It's coming back full force, even bigger and better. 7 a.m. Key Points hosts, Alfred Okanse will host his first show of Key Points for the year 2026 tomorrow at 7 a.m. You should make a date. The topics up for discussion. Fifi Kwete descending on NDC members, calling for a third term for John Dramani Mahama. A focus on the Constitution Review Committee report, and that's important. It was done last week, but much more will be done again tomorrow because the document is vast. The issues in it cannot be concluded in one show. Mahama's first year performance, sign of good things to come, because remember, on the 7th of January 2026 will be exactly 1 year after he was sworn in. It will be 1 year and a month after he won the election. And so that's also a very important conversation to have. But on Sunday, I will also have my first show for the year on hot issues, where we look at a year of the John Dramani Mahama administration, NDC2, as we've called it, over the 2025 period. I sit down with the Minister for Government Communications, Felix Kwasi Ofosu, and we look back at issues of illegal mining. We look at the economic performance, and there you have it. Perhaps we should just take a listen briefly to that. Who would say that, well, the indicators are good, but I don't feel it.
Those who argue that way appear not to understand what they are talking about.
Over the past year, there are those who say that oral has failed.
Again, it's one of those things that people say without any basis.
Is it the NDC going after Jean Mensa?
As far as I know, the NDC has not brought a petition against Jean Mensa. The people who have petitioned are identifiable people. When the time comes, I'm sure she will know who are.
Time remains 1 p.m. Sunday here on TV3. I hope to see you then. I'm Kemeni Amano. Happy New Year and good night.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage.